All right, so you're new to a ministry, you've inherited, you've been grandfathered some bad singers, some bad talent. What do you do? Here's the issue. I got a message from someone. They sent me an email. They said, there are prior singers that are on the worship team. They're middle-aged ladies and the talent level is somewhat minimal. One lady is very flat from what I've heard in the past services. They really want to be on the team and I'm auditioning them to give them a fair opportunity. They've been going to the church for 15 plus years. Me, 3 months, the leader. It puts me in a tough spot, if I have to say so. We are raising the talent level and excellence for the worship team. What do I do? Any help would be appreciated. Okay, I've been in this situation. The church I'm at now, same exact situation. I was inherited people. I had a team. I had to know what to do. And luckily, I had a plan. I'm going to give it to you in 3 easy steps. But before we jump into it, I want to give you something for free just for being here. It's the system I use to get people engaged in singing and worship at my church. It's called my 6-day guide to better engagement, my free gift to you. Go grab it. Okay, number 1. Need support. You need support. You need support from the people who are over you. If you're a new worship leader coming in and you have a bunch of ideas, we always get excited. Things were going to change. You need support from someone above you, namely your pastor or executive pastor or the leadership who is above you. Okay, so here's what I would do and here's what I did. I went to my elders, my pastor, and said, hey, and this is before an issue ever came up. I just said, hey, I'm going to be making some changes. You actually brought me in here to make some changes, but I don't want to do this on my own. I don't want to be the new guy just ruffling feathers here. I care for people. I'm a minister at heart. I want to pastor people through this process. Do I have your permission to make some changes? Here are the changes I want to make. Do I have your back in these decisions? From there, your pastors will be able to say, well, what kind of changes are you planning on making? Or maybe they've given you a list of the things they would like to see. And they're like, yes, we want to make these decisions. We put you in charge. You have the authority. If that's true, you're good to go. Now you just got to decide how to do it and do it with wisdom. The other good thing about this is that your pastor will probably have some extra wisdom for these specific people. So instead of just this generic thing, you can say, hey, I got these 3 ladies on my worship team. They're not really up to par as far as their skill level. Is there anything I should be aware of that is bigger than just this situation? Because sometimes pastors know other things that would be helpful to know that, hey, I know, and he might say something like this, I know they're not really up to par at this situation, but let me give you some wisdom on what else they're going through and maybe we can take a softer or a different approach. Always think pastorally, not just about your team, because now that you are leading people in a church, this is ministry, people are above the team. Let's write that down. Well, I'll say it this way, people are above your ministry. Meaning you can't steamroll people in the name of doing ministry because people are the ministry. That's important. And I always say this too, remember, people are not commodities. You don't want to treat people as if they are just a resource for you to use. And I can slip into that sometimes. We have planning center open. We got to fill all these positions and we start putting people into positions and we stop thinking them as people and we start thinking about them as commodities. People are not commodities. Don't let them even feel that from you. Make sure they know you care more about them than the ministry itself. Okay, number 2. Number 1, you need support from your leadership, your pastor. Number 2, now that you have that authority, your pastor supports you, you're ready to make some changes. If you're new, like this worship leader was, he was new, he'd only been there 3 months, and the rest of the email said that, then what you should do, and this is what I did, is re-audition everyone. Why would you do this? Why would you waste time re-auditioning everyone? Well, number 1, it keeps you from singling people out, which is what you don't want to do. You don't want to treat someone different than someone else. The purpose of re-auditioning someone is bigger than just this one person, but it's going to help solve some of the issues. So 1, it keeps you from singling people out. 2, it helps you to reassess who these people are, what their skills are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what they might need to work on. You are getting to know them just as much as they are getting to know you when you are new to this ministry. Number 3, you also need to find out if they're burned out. You have no idea how long they have served and what they have dealt with the previous worship leaders potentially, or lack of leadership. You have no idea. Which, number 4, give them a space to talk to you, to share their struggles, share what they've struggled with in the past, where they have felt burnout, where they find joy. Allow them to share what they enjoy with you. Remember, people, we're communicating with each other. They're not commodities. You're not just trying to figure out what they can do for you. It's back and forth. And then number 5, the most important thing, we're gonna write this down. It's number 5 under number 2, number 5. Communicate your expectations. Very important. When you re-audition everyone, and when you do auditions from here until you're gone from that ministry, you need to communicate clearly your expectations for the ministry. You're a new leader in a new position. Who knows what came before you? Maybe you know, maybe you don't. In my case, I didn't know much about what was happening before I got there. All I knew is I had these expectations that I wanted to communicate to the team so that they are not caught off guard and they know what's expected of them, and I actually have them sign something even before I audition them. I may have a form. If you want that form, maybe I can share it down below. I don't know if I have it set up that way. If you want that form, let me know. Email me, jimmy@heywhereswleater.com. It's a form where they tell me who they are, tell me what they're auditioning for, what their strengths and weaknesses are from their perspective, and also allows me to hear their testimony. At the bottom, I have all these paragraphs sharing expectations, and I make them sign it. So that way I can always re-audition them. I can always come back if they aren't living up to the expectations, say, hey, you signed this, what's the problem? All right, one more thing under re-auditioning them. When you re-audition your people, you need to have a system so that this audition isn't just a random audition. Remember, number 1, we're not looking for American Idols here. We're just looking for this ministry to serve this ministry in singing. We're just using the people of the church to help the people of the church sing. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for American Idols, but we are looking for talented people who want to be there, who want to show Jesus through singing. That's what we're there for. So it's best to have a system during your auditions. That way you have something you can point to and say, this is where you don't meet the standard, or this is where you need work. So let me share the audition system with you. Number 1 is stage presence. I always look at stage presence. Now, I mentioned this one first because I'm the most lenient on this. I know it's an audition. I've auditioned before. It's scary. One time I was auditioning for electric guitar at a church and I could not stop my hand from like shaking. I was like, get it together, Jimmy. I was fine everywhere else, but my hand was just so nervous. I was shaking. Stage presence. We need to look at stage presence. How are they? If they're gonna lead worship vocally, are they staring at the words? Did they memorize the words? Are they worshiping through it? Some auditions are just horrible. Other auditions are worshipful. If you ever sat through a worshipful audition, it's like, yes, I want more of that. So that's one thing I look for. I also don't tell them these 4 things I'm gonna share with you. This is a 4-step system. I don't share these 4 things with them beforehand because I don't want them like necessarily preparing in that way. I just wanna see how they come and prepare. That way I have something to give them feedback on. Number 2, timing. We run a click. I want to make sure they can play or sing to the click. If I'm talking about vocals, I want to hear phrasing. Do they struggle with the phrasing? Do they know when to start and stop the phrase? Do they struggle with that? Number 3, tone. Now, what's the difference between tone and number 4, pitch? I differentiate these because this often helps in uncomfortable conversations about people not being good enough or people being pitchy. Tone is the quality of your voice. Ha, or I can hit the same note, ha, same note, different tone quality, right? Pitch is not being able to hit the right note, not being able to match pitch. Singing in a key, but not actually singing in the key. The song's in B, but they're singing in B flat, okay? Pitch is not being able to hit the right note. Some people can hear pitch for the most part, but struggle because they're nervous. They don't have good breathing techniques, so they're not quite hitting and they come just under the note, or they're super nervous and energetic and they shoot over the note. Pitch is different than tone. And so usually if someone is just completely tone deaf and you have to have that hard conversation and you don't want to tell them they're tone deaf, well, you blame it on pitch. So you have a beautiful tone, but your pitch, I don't know if you noticed, but you're constantly coming under or over the note. We have to be on pitch because we want to lead the people in singing. We don't want to distract them and make them think about the fact that we're not hitting the note, and you can help them in that way. So there's my 4-step system: stage presence, timing, tone, and pitch. And when you have a system like that, it just shows that you are prepared, that you know what you're looking for, and people tend to respect that, even if what you have to say is not what they want to hear. But I'm going to give you kind of like a script of what I say on these difficult conversations, because what if, and this is step number 3 in the 3 larger step process at the beginning, we know you needed support from your leadership. Number 2, you need to re-audition everybody. Number 3, what do you say when it's just not going to work out? Okay, you've done the audition. Maybe you don't even need to do an audition. Maybe you don't need to waste anybody's time and you just know you need to have a conversation. What do you say? I would suggest doing the audition anyways, because that's going to give you the tools, the fuel that you need to tell them the things that they need to work on. And that's my first little tip. Number one, make sure that they know they're a human being and that you are on their team. When someone is going to hear that they are not good enough, it can come across really hard. It can be hard to take. So you want to ease that blow by being a ministry leader and say, you know what? Here are the things you need to work on, and I want to work with you. If you will put in the work to work on harmony or timing or your pitch over the next 3 months, I would love to re-audition you with 3 new songs, whatever you're going to do, however you do the audition, to see if you can put in the work to improve in these areas. And then number 2, I ask them that question. Is that something you would be interested in? You put it back on them. Would you be interested in working hard to improve in these areas? Because if they're ready to work and they have this much talent, but they can put in the work and be up here, then that's what you want. That's good for you and them. So it takes it from this like American Idol, or what is it? The other one with a big X. You ain't good enough. Get out of here. We don't want that kind of vibe going on in our worship ministry. We want to help people, because remember, people come first. Another thing I ask, if someone is like a good vocalist, but they're not a great vocalist, like maybe they can sing backup, or we have a choir. And it's not a big choir. When I say choir, it's like 12 people, because we have a kind of small church, medium sized church. It's just hard to get people in the choir. If people aren't ready to like lead a song, I would say, hey, I would love for you to join the choir, especially if stage presence is an issue. Like maybe they got good vocals, but they're just shaking in their boots. Maybe say, hey, I would love for you to just get on stage with a group of people and sing in the choir. We could really use your help. That way they are joining in on something. And then the next thing I would say, number 3, if they're at the level where you've tried, they don't want to put in the work, or they just don't have time to put in the work. Maybe there's no attitude involved. Maybe it's just like, yeah, I don't have time for this. I didn't realize what I was really getting into, and I understand now that you need this, and I am here. See if they would want to serve in another area. Maybe you need help in the production booth running Pro Presenter, or maybe, most likely, they need help in childcare all the time. Just know that people need help in childcare. Or maybe you can, be a parking lot attendant or a greeter. There's plenty of ways you can serve. Send them somewhere else to serve. And when I say send them, give them that opportunity to serve somewhere else, so they feel like, wow, leader or Jimmy, I didn't quite make the cut, but Jimmy still cares more about me and they want me to serve still. I can still be valuable in the church even if I can't sing. Our value is not tied to the fact whether we can sing in front of people or not. This is just a specific role and we're looking for a specific thing. And if that's not your skills, you can sure serve somewhere else. So I'll leave you with this. Tough conversations are tough to have, but remember, you're in ministry now. Tough conversations are going to be a part of your life, because why? You're not just running a ministry, you're leading people. Okay? You're leading people, not just songs. I have a friend who always says that. You're leading people, not just songs. So remember, lead them well. Love them well, and you will do a great job. Okay, make sure you grab that free guide. Also, if you got value out of this, I'm not going to ask you to like this video and subscribe, because you've already done that. I know you already have. What I want to tell you is I have a course. I actually have 2 courses. One is called the Worship Ministry Blueprint, where I take these kind of topics and I go super in depth. It's a course from front to back, all the way of how to be a worship leader. I made this huge course called the Worship Ministry Blueprint with like an intern in mind. If I had an intern and they didn't hardly know anything, what would I take them through to get them to be the best worship leader they can be? That is my main course. If that is unobtainable right now for you and you need to spend a little less and focus on one thing at a time, I took the first module out and called it Sunday is Coming. It's the most important things you need to know to create a service, to form a liturgy, how to write a call to worship, how to plan songs in a set list, how to pray and speak in front of people. There's many more videos. I think like 10 videos in there. You can go check it out. I'll link that down below. I think there's a sale going on right now. I'd really appreciate it if you check it out. It also helps support this channel while you grow as a worship leader. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.